Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Scrambled Jake's Breakfast Company. If you have family and friends visiting over the holidays here these next couple of weeks, take them out for the best breakfast and brunch in East Tennessee. Farm fresh local foods, drinks from top grade coffee to mimosas and more, and a great comfortable setting. Visit Scrambled Jake's Breakfast Company over the holidays. Make it a new tradition. ScrambledJakes.com to learn more about this great business. All right. We've got the full panel out here now, the full football panel anyway. Bob Hodge, Jimmy Himes, Justin Hamilton, Chuck Cavaleris. We broke down earlier all the guys who are out for Tennessee, all the guys who are out for Clemson. You look yesterday, a 6-6 Florida team who had 1 million guys out, including their starting quarterback, got thrashed by a 9-3 Oregon State team. Part of my question is, why would you that's a problem with the bowls. You shouldn't have a 6-6 team playing a 9-3 team. But everybody was complaining about Billy Napier. Reminded me of what happened with Dan Mullen a couple of years ago. When you get 15 guys out, what are you supposed to do? It's your backups going out there. But let me show you some numbers here about this transfer thing. This is just the transfer. This doesn't count opt-outs. But right now, the average SEC team has 12 players in the portal. The average Pac-12 team has 10.6. The average ACC team has 8, and basically the same for the Big 12 or the Big 10. Guys, you throw the opt-outs on top of that, you throw in some injuries. How should we be viewing these bowl games, Bob? People live and die with them. It's how you look back on a season, and that's you literally look back, and this is the first glass you see as you look through that bowl game. Should we be viewing it that way anymore?
To me, Tennessee's Orange Bowl game is a preseason game from next year. You're going to see some new receivers. You're going to see Joe Milton against quality competition. Going to maybe, okay, this gives us a little bit of a preview. The bowl games, I've resisted the thinking for a while that the playoff reduced the bowl games to meaningless.
Killed them.
They're not meaningless, but they're pretty much meaningless.
Killed them.
You don't even have with early recruiting now. It isn't something you want to go, okay, guys, we got a chance to go out there and set the tone for the January signing date. You don't even have that anymore. So I think they have been really greatly reduced, and the opt-outs, I can't blame the kids for opting out. I'd opt out. If somebody told me, opt out of John's show and you get $1 million next week, okay, you don't see me anymore. So all this stuff, I think it does come together to make it more of an exhibition.
I'm more worried about somebody making an offer to this guy. Really. But all right, let me ask you, Chuck, how should we be looking at bowl games?
As ESPN inventory is something to put out there during the holidays for entertainment. It's better, I guess, than not having a game on, but it does, like Bob said, doesn't mean.
If you're a Tennessee fan, though, how seriously should you be taking this Orange Bowl?
I tell you what,
he nailed it. It's a preseason game.
Tennessee fans I know that I've talked to that are paying, $200 or $300 for a ticket and a lot more for a motel room and the travel, and then you listen to what Dabo Swinney says. It's important to them for a 12th win and to be ranked in the top 5, and in 2 years it'll be a playoff game. So to us, it's losing more and more meaning until they do expand the playoffs.
Well, now come game time, I'm going to be taking it seriously. I'm going to be a fan. I'm wanting Tennessee to win.
Sure.
But, I just think in the back of your mind, you have to catalog all these other things that doesn't make this the team that you were watching in November.
It's 2 new quarterbacks. You're looking at quarterbacks. Both fan bases are saying, all right, this gives us a preview of what we're going to have next year. You nailed it. It is a preseason game. Jimmy, I would argue, and then we get to you, Justin, and let you wrap this up. I would argue, you go back decades, and for years and years and years, bowl games didn't even count in the final rankings. Tennessee's 1951 national championship team won the national championship, then went to the Sugar Bowl and lost to Maryland. Didn't matter. It's an exhibition game. Didn't have anything to do with it. I think we should get back to that. I don't think these games should impact the rankings, because how should Tennessee or Clemson be graded when they're missing 3 and 4 key players in a bowl game because I'm just opting out? It's not like there's injuries, which you've had before. All these games now have opt-out. If it's me, I don't count them anymore, but I get a feeling you've got a different take.
Well, I think that as far as being meaningless, I guess we can define it. I think for many years,
I'm exaggerating,
but before the playoffs, a lot of those bowl games were meaningless, right? A lot of them were.
Not
Yeah,
to where
very-
players opted out. I don't remember that.
That's right, but I think just the tenor of what we've got nowadays is different. You didn't have a transfer portal years ago,
Right.
so now you do. That makes them more meaningless. But they were meaningless before, in my opinion, because they didn't have an impact on a national championship. So that's the way I looked at
Okay.
it. Now, how do I look at these now? An audition.
Okay.
It's an audition for a lot of players. It's an audition for some of the young guys. It's kind of an audition a little bit for Klubnik at Clemson, right?
Yeah.
To see what they're looking at. So I think sometimes you look at these games and if you're a fan of a team, and it's like, okay, what can we look like? How good is Squirrel White going to look? How good is this young
Right.
guy going to look? How good are some of these players going to look? So I think it's an audition for a lot of players. I don't take the results as seriously because you having so many people that aren't there. You mentioned transfer portal on that. How about those that are opting out for the NFL?
Right.
So that's not even included in
Exactly.
your numbers, and
Yeah.
there are even more that are opting out.
Yeah.
So I look at it for individual performances. It's almost like I look at a spring game.
Yeah.
I don't look at a spring. I don't care who wins a spring game,
Like a
orange or white.
preseason game.
But
Yeah, I look at individual players and how they perform.
yeah, I just don't think the anger shouldn't be ratcheted up at a bowl game loss as it is during a regular season
I
loss.
agree with that.
However, Mr. Former Defensive Coordinator, fans take it seriously.
Yes, they do.
They don't care if you've got 10 guys out. When they're sitting, they can say that and they can hear us say it and they can go, yeah, that's true, and then there's kickoff and then we better win. So how do you look at all this stuff? How should these bowl games, if you're a coach and you've got 2-3 guys who just said, yeah, see ya, and you're having to bring in guys who haven't played all year, what's the pressure on you? I mean, how much should you be held accountable for having to coach a whole new team in this bowl game where you had a month to work with them?
Well, to answer your question of how should we view these, if we're all being honest, we shouldn't view them. That's the truth. If all these players are out when Tennessee's playing Alabama the third Saturday in October, are you going to watch the game? If all of Alabama's players are out, are you really going to watch that game? But to answer your question, if they keep score, you're going to be judged on the performance, whatever shows up on the field. And you've got to get who you have ready to play. That's the bottom line. It's a bottom line business. Whoever is playing for you, whoever's healthy, whoever's opting in, you've got to get them ready to play. There's no excuses. You can't make excuses, and no good coach is going to do that. So you take who you have, and you put together the best plan you can, and you try to go win the game because it does matter. Your fan base is going to care. Your players are going to care. And they keep score. It's going to go down as a W or an L at the end of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's just not fair. I don't think that it should be.
Fair has
but it
nothing
is.
to do with
Well,
it.
exactly.
And to what you asked me that I didn't really answer, should you have a poll after the playoffs? That's what you were asking.
Yeah,
me.
I would leave the top 4 slots for after the playoff, and everybody from 5 down, you're just locked in.
Okay. I was wondering how you were going to do that.
Yep.
Okay.
You're just locked in. At the bottom 5, you've locked in.
But
I'm not going to
Dabo
punish.
Swinney is really playing that up to his team. We can get a 12th
Dabo
win.
plays up.
We just saw the list of his team that cares nothing about what he's
Yeah.
playing.
You know, those guys,
Great point,
those
yeah.
guys are flipping burgers.
Yeah, that's right. Well, here's the thing. You and I were talking the other day. I don't like these impacting the rank. I don't think it's fair for Tennessee or Clemson to take some big hit in the rankings when they're playing with backups. At the same time, this impacts, you brought this up, I didn't think of it. It impacts preseason rankings.
Absolutely. And to me, it goes along with your point that preseason rankings should be non-existent. You shouldn't have rankings for the following year until at least into October or November. There should be no rankings because you're basing it off of totally just unusable information.
Then it can be so hard
See,
to
and
make
I'm
up
not-
that ground.
I'm not a fan of that because I think it plays itself out. TCU was unranked. They're in the playoffs.
Yeah, but you
So
could
based
also
on
make,
your merit.
well, you can also make the case, did Ohio State really deserve to get back in, or were they just starting the season ranked in the top 2, and at the end of the year, it's like, oh, let's put them in there.
And
We
so
But
know
they
what-
lost one game,
Yeah.
so yeah.
But
they
from a
didn't play
coach's
anybody all
standpoint-
year except 2 teams.
But I think they played their way into it.
all right.
So-
All right, very good.
Or
When
they
we come
set
back,
their way into it.
when we come back, let's talk about how coaches game plan for bowl games. I'm going to ask Justin a little bit about how these guys go about getting ready for the bowl games, and are SEC coaches tipping off Dabo Swinney this week, telling him what they need to do to play Tennessee and how to do it? I thought there was a gentleman's agreement not to do that kind of thing. We'll discuss that next. Come on back on the Sports.